bro. But even with that being said, man, like it's super. Don't get me wrong. Like we all have the right to feel how we want to feel, and I realize it's super easy to just be angry as fuck because it's like it's that the whole fact of being inconvenienced. Like it's the whole fact of like, yo, like I have to literally alter something I might be trying to do or whatever, right? Like that's the whole point of it. But and it sucks because it might be due to the government or whatever the case is, like, oh, we're shutting down this or whatever the case is, or it might be due to the company saying like, oh, we got to do budget cuts or whatever the case is, bro. Like, there's whatever the reason is. I'm saying it's shitty on every degree, but like I was trying to tell my cousin, it's like, yo, bro, like as messed up as it is, because I'm trying not to. Hopefully, I try not to curse in the first, a little bit, but as messed up as it is, bro, it's like you kind of just have to take your time and look for a next flex. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunate as it is, because we're not gonna stay down forever, so to speak. We got to take our time to go through what we have to go through. Whether it's a matter of a cycle of an emotion or whatever, anger, sadness, whatever. But after that, unfortunate as it is, we got to just kind of get back to it and see if there's something else we at least like.
Try to apply. That's half of it, but the other half right now is this. It's because if I had been smart about things, all I would have had to do was just like bide my time. Then okay, on to something next. But here we are. So now, like literally, after I'm done this, I'm just gonna take my time, let this heal up, and then go from there. Because like this trumps a lot of things right now.
I feel you, man, and it's tricky. Like, whenever you have something that's altering how you're moving, so to speak, it's definitely unfortunate. But at least it's in the upper extremities versus like your foot, ankle. You know how that goes. I know you have a hella experience with feet.
I take the broken toe again any day of the week because I can still at least like do things and be all. But it's just my mobility shit with that. With this, everything changes because this is dominant hand, right? So like. True, my writing, like my handwriting is just god awful right now. I still have 3 fingers, which is still nice, but like, yeah, I can't. The only thing, like, I'm sitting in the hospital, I'm like, yeah, I can't do this, can't do that. And the one thing that got me, I was like, how am I gonna wipe my ass? It ain't no thing, but it's just like it's one of those things in that moment.
I was gonna say, bro,
fuck's sakes, like. How, like just little things like that, but it's just like you're just such a dipshit. Like you really didn't have to do that to yourself,
especially because it was self-inflicted, which is kind of that's the more trash part about it, where it's like I did this to me. Like, yes, something frustrated me or something got me out of my element, but I literally did it to me. Like, and that's the thing. That's what I realized at a younger age, bro. Like, I stopped being the guy who punched walls, punched doors, et cetera, because it's like once you shift knuckles and break knuckles and things of that nature, you say to yourself, I'm genuinely only doing this to me. And it usually comes from you hearing some bullshit, like, I already cursed, unfortunately, some bad news in a certain degree or whatever the case is. But it's like, it's the taking it in stride part that I'm trying to work on. Like I'm sure everyone is, but I'm like genuinely, these are the things I'm genuinely pushing for. Like, I can't, I heard more or less some unfortunate news that is preventable and is potentially, it's a situation that can potentially be solved and resolved if all goes well. And I think all will go well. And you know what I mean? I got good faith in that, but it's just a matter of understanding. I could sit there and immediately take that information and be like, oh my gosh, I'm upset, I'm angry. Of course one can do that, but then it's like, that's not going to help anything other than the fact of like, okay, let me just make sure that everybody's okay. And you know what I mean? Like, let me not freak out so that I can try to handle this a bit more calmly. And that's I guess that's why I'm trying to explore those types of topics. Because it's like the whole anger management thing. Like it's not, we don't have to get too deep or too personal, but it's like just wondering like questions such as like, How do we prevent this, or how do we slow it down, so to speak?
Well, I definitely could have handled it better because number one, I've got a punching bag like literally right there. So like this
Damn.
was literally just pure stupidity on my part. Like, so
Could
I
have
can't
gloved,
even.
you could have gloved up and started hitting the bag, is what you're saying.
Oh, I
Dang.
did. Like when I first got the news, like I literally just went over there and headbutted and elbowed it for like a good like good 5 minutes. But still, like it's just I don't know, man. It's just once again, you can handle things better, basically. But like, yeah, my emotions got the best of me. There's no other way to put it, and stupidity won. And here we are, dude.
Hey,
And
bro.
my only the only if there's any other lesson to learn from this, I will say this: if you do end up breaking a bone, end up in the hospital for anything like that, and they have to set the bone, take the freezing. All right. I did it the night I broke it. It was my knuckle was like out here, like back here, sort of thing. So it was like completely out of place. Like I broke the shit out of this hand. Like it's not good. But it was bad back here. So the doctor looked at it. He's like, so I'm gonna have to like yank on it and put it back in, sort of thing. And he offered me the shot. By this point, I'd been there for like 3 hours. So I'm just like, let's just do this and get this over. I just want to splint this and go home. I got to work tomorrow, so let's go. And he's just like, well, I respect your decision on that because a lot of guys say like the needle hurts worse than it actually doing. And then he cranked it. I almost passed out, Graham. Like I legit almost passed out. Like
I believe it.
Number two worst pain I've ever felt in my entire life. That hurt worse than breaking it. Hands down. Hands down, that hurt worse than breaking it. And then,
bro,
I got it all wrapped up and all that. And then I went home. The next morning, I got a call saying you got to come back in. They're going to straighten it out even more and put a better cast on it. So then I went back up there. He's like, okay, so today I'm going to shoot you up so we can get it straightened out more. And yeah, he shot it up. The one shot wasn't bad. The other one, he went into the side of it. That hurt pretty bad, but it wasn't like anywhere as near as bad as that. And then when it was numb, when it was numb, like my whole hand was like this whole hot side of my hand was numb. So he had it in there and he was cranking on doing all this. I'm like, it's uncomfortable because you think it should hurt. Like, especially what you went through last night, it should hurt. But because it's numb, it's just like, that's weird. I don't like that. But
that's the thing, bro. That's the beauty of it. Like the medical field in that regard, and being able to reset things. Like that's why, unfortunately, you didn't take the shot that could have assisted with the numbing part on the first time he was trying to reset it. But
that's what he said too.
Man, it's like you being able to them being able to alter the already broken bones and reset them and put a cast on it so that they grow back into the more or less place that they're supposed to grow back into is dope as hell. But it's a reminder that it's like motherfuckers are so fragile, and it sucks because it's like you don't understand how fragile you are until you mash your toe off a night table or break your hand in the door on some dumb shit. You slam the door and you forgot that your hand was close to it or something. I don't know, just some dumb shit. And it's like that's why I don't play whether it's a car door, whether it's a whatever. Like I don't play with certain shit, bro. Take my time closing the shit out that door because you fuck around and break your whole hand. Like unfortunately, you're saying like roughly how long did they say you'll be out for?
I'm going back later this week. I have to go back and they gotta do a determination. They're gonna look at the x-ray again. They want to like a follow-up basically, and they're gonna see if I have to have surgery or not, like put a pin in it or anything like that. And then I'm gonna I'm gonna ask them like how long sort of thing, because at that point they'll have a better guess at it. But I'm assuming at least another month or so, if not longer, but I'm hoping not.
No, for real. I mean, that's the goal. Obviously, you don't want to have to go through like the more grueling process. But it's like, bro, in anything. That's why it's like, like sometimes it's like the history or like the genetics or whatever that are passed down to us that sometimes cause us to have these types of things within us. And sometimes it's like the outside influences, because it's like sometimes you might find yourself getting super angry and you're saying to yourself, dang. It's not even that I might not even be angry with a specific thing. It might just be the conditions, like things I can't control type thing. And it's like, once I get to that point, I'm not sure, Trent, how like why, what's the source of that, or why I should be even feeling that emotion, especially if you can't really control it. It kind of seems pointless, even though it sometimes feels like it's the thing that's, it's like the right thing to get angry about the whole society or whatever, the things you can't control. Sometimes it feels like it's the right thing to do, but at the same time, it's like you can't control it. So it's kind of like a catch-22.
Exactly. And that was literally all my thought was like, I've been better with this because I've had rage issues my entire life. Like it's definitely something that's been in me. So like it was a matter of like discerning that part of myself and trying to better it so I'm not like so fucking crazy all the time with this. Like these days is getting better, but like definitely the head trauma I think has definitely undone a lot of that. And I feel like I don't know. I just feel a lot more agitated these days especially after that. That's the only thing I can put, like the only like pinpoint to like right here is where it all started like getting like a lot more like, I don't know. I just get more frustrated easily with it. I sincerely hope that's just like my own interpretation of it and it's not an actual thing. You know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It sucks. That's all I got to say. But it's just a matter of trying to have better self control and, like you said, just not trying to fuck yourself up in the process of like, or if you have to vent it in a better, like more constructive way. There's definitely better ways to do it. Like I said, I have a punching bag right there. I could have taken it out that way if I wanted to take it out that way. Like, right, like talk to somebody, like let it out other ways, but like there's better ways to go about it. And that's literally this lit for the entire fucking time. And I have this on my hand. That's all it's going to be a reminder of it. And it's as the shittiest reminder you'll have is like one, not only of self-inflicted, but one that's like constant, like you can't escape it reminder sort of thing, like a scar on your arm or something like that. But for at least a good while, it's going to be a constant reminder of like your own stupid, like a monument to your own stupidity sort of thing.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. It sucks. Don't get me wrong. Like, although like we want to be super progressive and take control of the way we handle things, at least that's what I'm aiming for. But as humans, we're not really supposed to move like that. We kind of are supposed to allow certain emotions to come out. And don't get me wrong, even to say like like one has had rage, anger since they were a kid or whatever. A lot of us face that, bro. And it's crazy as it may sound. It's more common than we think, but it's I feel like it's something that's more like we can harness that. Like that's why like when you put kids in sports, for example, like I was in sports, organized sports since maybe 9 years old. And it helps in the sense of you're channeling some of that energy in a competitive nature so that you're not necessarily trying to take it out on, like you're not in the classroom trying to beat up other 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds and hurt them and stuff. You'd rather do that on the hockey rink or on the basketball court or football field, right? And it's not about saying like sports, but I'm just saying like sometimes there are healthy alternatives that if you knew when you're older, when you have kids, you can, and if ever you see certain signs, there's dope constructive ways that you can kind of help them relieve that, you know?
If there's not a better way, there's always an easier way. And honestly, like I still think like there's always a healthier option to what like we've got. Like even if you are living a healthy option currently, there's probably like 5 years down the road they may find, oh, this is a better way of doing it, sort of thing. You know what I mean? But it's just a matter of learning and growing, like taking a loss in stride and going from that. As much as it like it is just the biggest ass ache. Not this. This is just like the cherry on top. But the whole situation is just like I can't. It's nothing I could have controlled. Nothing I can do. So here we are, and I just made it worse for myself.
Yeah,
so
man.
Stupidity. That's the only thing I can keep coming back to the entire time.
But then
this is temporary.
Yeah, sometimes they call it quote unquote self-sabotage. But
it was like 1,000%.
But Yeah, and don't get me wrong, because I'm sometimes guilty of it in the form of procrastination, self-sabotaging, because it's like when you procrastinate, aka put things off until the last minute, then you're like, okay, I'm gonna do it now. You can't really be doing that and expect the greatest outcome, unfortunately. But at the same time, sometimes those things are necessary, in my opinion, because
I
I want to
agree.
be able to I want to be able to do things sometimes on my own terms. And even though sometimes external forces, whether it's the job, whether it's the school, and you have to like try to get an assignment handed in on a certain day, so you have external things that are forcing you to meet a deadline. Sometimes you still want to do it your way, which means if you're going to procrastinate till 3 days left and then knock it all out, then do that. But then you got to be accountable too. Can't be upset if you don't get the marks you want. You know what I mean?
That was something I learned a long time, like in university. It was like after first year, it's like you can piss about and not do the thing, but you're gonna be the one paying for it in the end. So like it's better to get it out of the way and like with certain things if you can, than just wait on it. And that's something I try to do in my personal life now, but it's like you learn these lessons and do these things. Like this was what I'm gonna say about like having kids in sports. Like you can have these things and learn these lessons as a kid, and then somewhere along the lines it gets forgotten as you're an adult, and that's ends up to be where you are, like where I am anyways, where I did have an outlet for all this stuff and I used to do all this stuff, and now as I've gotten older I'm starting to like forget all this stuff. It's weird.
I feel you. And but what's so dope about the whole adult part about it is we do still have the wherewithal slash. I mean, granted, you have the actual like ability slash discipline to channel those inner thoughts. And although you're saying like you might forget about it, but it's like you might still have like a remnant of it in your mind. And when you think about it, okay, how do I do this like in an adult form? And then you think to yourself, okay, I know that there are, let's just say you're in a place where there are gun ranges, for example, and you like shooting guns and you have a license and things of that nature. I can go there and relieve some stress, this, that, and the third. When I was a kid, I used to go and shoot pucks on a hockey net at my friend's house. But it's like you're just kind of like curving it into an adult version, right? Like I feel like finding those healthy alternatives to relieve some of these anxieties we have, bro, like is super necessary. And it might be tricky because you're not gonna just snap your fingers and automatically you just know what you want to do to help you get these things out, like these negative stresses off you. But at the same time, bro, it's like it's worth it. Like I'm genuinely trying to find that, bro. Like and stick with it and have it be ever growing so that I'm not feeling stagnant. Which kind of sucks because sometimes life forces you to stand still, bro, for a little bit and refigure out what you're trying to do, whether it's kick it with somebody who you're trying to like find somebody dope or not find somebody dope, or sometimes you gotta leave a job that you thought like, yo man, this is bullshit. This was my bread and butter. But then all of a sudden you find an even doper job that pays more within the next month and you say to yourself, oh shit, that's what's up. But it's just it's all how you navigate is what I'm learning. Like, but sometimes, yeah, like life forces us to stand still for a moment. I was standing still for a couple, you know what I mean, a little while, for a minute, you know what I mean? And then you get new opportunities, you move to a new city, you see what's going on, and slowly but surely you start to build your life into a life that you're proud of and shit. So it takes us all a little bit of time.
You could not have put it any like better. Like, yeah, I am being forced to sit still right now and heal up and get better mentally from all this and try and like move on with everything else from here. But like, yeah, it's a momentary thing, but yeah, it's still in the moment right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and you have every right to be in the moment and actually feel what you're feeling. It's not like you have to be like, oh, I'm gonna what's the word? Like I'm gonna muzzle or compress these feelings into my body and not care about them and just act like everything's okay. Nah, feel what you feel, bro. But at the same time, we gotta remember it's like you are the only one who's gonna be able to pick yourself back up and keep it going again whenever that time is right. So it's like as wild as it might sound, it's like you don't want to spend too long, quote unquote, not saying you specifically, but just any of us.
No,
Unfortunately,
that's when it starts to get like wallowing and like you're not getting
exactly.
anywhere.
then you get to a dark place where you might not be able to climb out of, and X, Y, and Z. And it's like, okay, trying to find that healthy place when to be like, okay, Graham, I got to snap about this shit. I got to get it going. Let's go, boy. And then we get it going again versus staying in it. Like, so, but again, man, these are just my opinions on the matter of just, or my perspective on certain matters, because, man, I tell you, some of the news I be receiving, like as parents, aunts, uncles, things like that are starting to get older and stuff, bro. And you say to yourself, yo, bro, this life thing is real, bro. This life thing, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, and it's not about looking at it from a negative standpoint, but it's about making sure, like, when you say things like, oh, make it all count, or yo, live in the moment, mean that shit and do that shit. Because at least from that point on, you're not going to be stressing at the end of it. You know, you actually lived how you want to live, you know, and enjoy it.
That's all I've ever tried to do, even with like, even working like a 9-to-5 smo job. Like, that's all I've ever wanted to do, is just not have enough so I can like enjoy like myself outside of having to work. Like, it depends on what it is these days, but like, just as long as I can pay for this, pay for whatever I want, not have to worry about like, fuck, I have to save and scrimp and do all this, do all that. That's all I've ever wanted. And
yeah, man.
Here we are.
No, but it's very doable though, bro. Like, and especially like
it's super
in
doable.
Your own, yeah, like in your own form, in your own way, you're there. Yes, of course, we can always want a little more. Yes, of course, we can always build to get to a higher platform or higher plateau. Yes, but in context, being able to pay for your own rent, being able to pay for your own groceries, being able to buy some new shoes, buy some new shit, buy your girl something nice, experience something nice with your girl if you chose to. I'm saying like these quote unquote, we might say they're quote unquote small wins, but once you compile a whole bunch of those small wins throughout the day, at the end of the day, you're like, when people say that phrase, oh, at the end of the day, that's what it's meant by, like, at the end of the day, you're literally smiling before you go to sleep. If you mess around and unfortunately pass away in your sleep, you know you had an amazing as fuck life, an amazing as fuck day. You know what I mean? But it's trying to do that shit as much as you can every day.
And it's always the little things. Like everyone always says it's the little things that make it up. And frankly, for me, I don't give a fuck about that number in the bank account. If I'd rather have that money go to like I said, the essentials, but also to experiences that I can be like, remember that time when we were out, you know, doing this, remember that when we did that, like that. Like, I'd rather have that, or, hey, we're going to go do this in a couple months because we have this money still. You know what I mean? Like,
facts.
I'd rather spend money on experiences than just like have money for the sake of having money, or buy money on shit just for the sake of having shit.
No, and being able to deal with some of these circumstances so that we don't hurt ourselves or don't put ourselves in predicaments that are super unfortunate. Like, that's one of the things that are going to help propel us towards that goal of being able to have these beautiful experiences. And bro, I know all this COV and all that's happening right now and all this VAX, but at the same time, bro, I'm trying to go to Greece at some point. I'm trying to go to Jamaica at some point. Like, I'm trying to trip, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to catch this one shorty, you know what I mean? I'm trying to, bro, if it ever gets right with it, if it's ever a right situation, I'm trying to, you want to see me out here with a big ass umbrella hat or whatever they call it, with the sun hat, smiling and shit, big ass teeth and shit, bro, I'm going to be tripping, bro.
Oh my God, please send me the picture shirt when you do.
Yeah, with the tropical shirt, with the no button. There ain't even no buttons on that motherfucker. Blowing in the breeze and shit, bro. I'm telling you, I'm gonna be looking like a Superman standing on the beach, looking like Superman in that bitch. Kate slapping in the goddamn breeze, bro. I'm telling you, bro. But it's one of those things that hopefully my way of thinking can change so that these things are happening more often than not. Like these great ass experiences and that we're talking about, you know?
I agree. I'm with you on the same thing. Like, especially even with just like the travel aspect. And it's not even like, I don't really even have any big plans to go anywhere fancy. Like, literally, I just want to go to the States so I can watch some, you know, wrestling stuff that if people I've supported for like 2 years now that I have met online and stuff, but I haven't met in person. You know what I mean? Like, do shit like that, go to Russia and see some of my boys over there, like stuff like that. Like, like just shit like that. I'd rather just do. I'm not a big like crazy. I've never had like big vacations in my life. It's always been like small trips, and
Yeah,
that's always been how I've rolled. But like, still, I'd love to go like somewhere nice, go chill on a beach in Cuba, go travel England, go travel Europe and shit like that. But one day, hopefully.
that's the thing, man. But it's like those extremely small sacrifices we make each day. That's what gets us to that point. And it's not even about sounding cliche, because I can care less if I sound cliche or say a cliche. What I'm saying is there's so much truth to it, and you see these quote unquote successful people. I'm not talking about rich. I'm talking about successful, meaning people who have lived full lives, or people who have, they can show you the evidence, whether it's through video, like footage or whatever, pictures. This is me in Maui. You know what I mean? Just or whatever. Like, just you have beautiful experience that you're like, okay, this person clearly has lived. You being able to go to those, like, do those small things will get you to those. I'm just saying, like, you see the successful people, and it's like them doing those small things equates to, if you do those small things, you'll get to those same results. It's just as simple, in my opinion.
I hope so. Because yeah,
bro,
I hope so.
it's
My faith in doing the right thing has kind of been shooken of late. My words don't even work.
yeah, man.
But still, it's you got to keep on doing what you've been doing to get you as far as you've gotten you. And if it's, as long as it's something positive, like I said, doing the right thing, having the right mentality, it's going to pay off one day down the line. If not pay off like in the short term for like just like inner clarity and inner peace and stuff like that. But real world has a way of catching up with you at times too.
No, and that's the thing, man. It's sometimes we have this whole being real versus being optimistic battle, and it's like, nah, bro. I think life is what you make it. So it's if somehow deep within your mind, like if you're thinking like, yeah, man, it's gonna be a great day, but deep within your mind you're thinking, man, fuck this day, blah blah blah, it's gonna be a bad day. You can't bullshit reality. And I'm not talking about reality as far as, oh, like somebody trying to tell you what you can achieve. That's somebody else's reality. You being optimistic, saying, nah, fuck that, I'll double what you're talking about, and I'll go to another level. That's that optimism, or that self-confidence, self-belief, where you're just not on the frequency of reality. You're like, nah, bro, I'm above that shit. Because if that's the case, you wouldn't be where you are now, or you wouldn't get to where you're gonna go if you had that mental state of like, yo, man, being real, or in reality, I don't think I'll ever make it past this amount of money, or I don't think I'll ever get to travel to this place. You're telling yourself that you're not going to you're basically telling yourself where your reality is going to be limited. Your reality is going to be limited. You know? I don't believe
It's true. That is a form of limiting yourself like that, by being stuck in that mentality. And I think that's something I've been guilty of most of my life, because I've just based myself on what I've seen. Like, oh, we've never, like, everyone I've ever, like, my whole family is not like any of us are well off or anything like that. It's just like we've got enough to like be like lower middle class, but that's about it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but
have enough money to know they have enough money to like get by, but that's about it. Like, no one's out here like styling and profiling like they're Ric Flair, but like,
yeah,
still.
I feel you. But in context, Trent, that's kind of how it is. Like, sometimes we have to be the first to achieve certain things in our families, so that people who come after us, if you choose to have a lifestyle where you have people who come after you, whether it's kids, whatever, they have that diving board that you may not have had. That's why most people, when they get to that point of success, they're like, man, fuck, man, I got to a point of success, and I'm gonna give my kids everything that I never had, or whatever, right? Like, sometimes people go to that mentality, and it's like, if you truly didn't see certain things growing up, but we're fortunate enough to have, whether it's the internet, YouTube, whatever, you see certain success stories, and then it's like, all right, bro, I got to trip out and try to see what they did, what their formula was, and if I can apply any of it to my health, my life. Because otherwise, it's like same thing like math or whatever. You learn an equation to deal with certain things. You don't just make up your own equation just to make it up, especially if there are certain equations in place to solve said problems already. Why would you go and try to make up your own equation? Not saying you can't, but I'm saying, you know what I mean? Like, if using that analogy, you might as well try, bro. Like, to anyone listening, you know?
Yeah, it's something else because I don't think it's as one-to-one as that. Like, I think there's a lot of context and a lot of like environmental reasons as to why people can get to where they are. But there are success stories that have like a similar pattern. I see. I know what you mean about that, but I don't know.
And that's what I'm saying. Trying to take those commonalities, you being a human that whether it's like, okay, I'm fortunate enough to work, I have a job where I'm making a little income. Let me try to use some of this to propel me to a place that I wasn't. Let me sacrifice some of this money so I can use it to take me to a place where I haven't been before. But people don't think about life like that. But we all have to reach our way of thinking at our own time. But I'm saying, granted, if you take those commonalities from the successful people, that's where the whole math equation analogy comes in place. And it works true because it's like there's so many different variables in a math equation, which is what you're talking about, whether it's environment they grew up in, circumstances, who's around them when they're growing up, are they influential? All that shit does matter, but those are the same variables within the equation to be like, okay, well, are you going to have a successful result? If yes, you got to keep on adding variables that are going to fucking allow that equation to go in your favor.
Just couldn't have said it any better there. Like, it's really just like, it's just a matter of, my buddy put it the best way, is like getting yourself in front of the net so you can score goals. Like in hockey, like you're not going to score goals if you're on the other end of the rink, but if you're standing in front of the net, good chance you're going to get a rebound or the puck's going to come to you and you're going to be able to put it in the net.
Facts. Set yourself up for success. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Shit, bro. I don't know. To the people watching, like that's a good conversation right there. I felt like we explored a lot. And yeah, man. I appreciate the conversation. It was dope as fuck.
Always, man. Always. I appreciate it.
You know what I mean? Like, to anyone listening, like, if you're trying to deal with anger management and different things like that, like,
there's always a better way.
Yeah, try to take your time and try to find the better ways to deal with it, or the better outputs or outlets that you can use, because there's a lot of better ways than trying to harm yourself. You know what I mean? Because that stuff, unfortunately, there is no good outcome. There's no good outcome after that. So it's just my opinion. You know, we fuck with you. We rock with you. If you want to talk, our links are in the description. So just tap in, like, whether it's a message or whatever the case is, like, please do. Because if you need someone to listen or whatever, we'll do that. But as long as we're trying to get to a solution, you know, you don't have to go at this alone, people.
Never. You're never alone.
So for all y'all listening, my name's Graham.
I'm Broken Trent.
He said broken. I'm Busted Trent. And this is another episode of Ultra Fly Talk. Thanks for rocking with us.